Conrad's trip to Puerto Rico or wherever you went. Is that where you went?
Yeah.
San Juan?
I thought that was pretty clear.
No, it looked like Cherokee Beach.
Did you play slots in the bus station?
Yeah, on my way to Cogwas.
Did you get by the Barack Obama statue?
I did not.
I liked in the video you kind of dissed Barack Obama on one of your little hand gestures. I thought that was funny.
Thought the index finger didn't. Yeah.
Thought that was funny.
Just going with the rhythm.
I think you're probably going with that 12-inch or 12-ounce courage you got.
Well,
By what?
what did you and Paige do? Did she have a good time?
She did. Yeah, no, we had a good time.
Did you get the gift that one of our listeners sent?
I did, yes,
Okay.
for Paige. Yes,
Yeah,
thank you
good.
for that. I will give that to her. But yeah, no, she had a good time. Got to see my dad and stepmom for a few days and hang out with them. So
Your
yeah,
dad
it
was
a
a
good time.
professional bowler at one time.
He was.
Did you
yes.
guys go to Destin Lanes?
No, he doesn't bowl anymore.
Oh.
He hurt his wrist. That's
Why didn't you just learn how to bowl with the other hand?
That's a good question.
You know,
I'll have to ask
and
him.
Pat brings that up, but I know a
ambidextrous.
mechanic who was a really good bowler, and somehow a machine, he got 3 of his digits pinched off.
Just learn how to bowl
He
left-handed.
learned how to bowl left-handed.
Wait, you know somebody that
Yeah,
had that
he
happen?
bowls in our league. He's a really good bowler. Ricky, hope you're doing well.
In the ball return.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't the ball return. This wasn't
Oh.
Kingpin where they stick. his
Yeah,
hand
that's
in
what
it.
I was
No,
like.
he's a mechanic. He owns a body shop.
Gotcha, and there was an accident. And
Yeah, he lost his digits,
that's impressive.
but he learned to bowl left-handed, which is something you should encourage your dad to do.
I'll work on that. I'll see if he's interested.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
We were talking about Tony Petitti in the Big Ten Conference. He sat down with a scrum of reporters there in Southern California last night. He says that they're all in, just like Jim Phillips, PhD, said last week, that it was unanimous in the ACC that everyone in the Big Ten Conference wants the 24 teams. Matter of fact, Brett Bielema has given an interview, and he has said he likes the number 32.
Well,
I did not make that up.
More the merrier, I guess.
I don't know if he's talking about 32 donuts that he gets at Krispy Kreme there in Champaign-Urbana, or he's talking about 32 teams in the college football playoff.
Well, if you'll remember all the preseason hype, and he was considered to be a college football playoff favorite, this probably bodes better for them. It's based on expectations and reality.
Heck, could just do like what did Eli Drinkwitz say last year at SEC Football Media Days? He said like 60-something. I mean, it was something.
He threw out a
crazy
crazy.
number.
Yeah, he
Yeah, it
threw
was
out a
like
crazy
all the
number.
power. It was like the whole Power Four or something.
Yeah, it was like a progressive tournament. It's kind of like a progressive dinner. You know how you start like one place and then you end up at another place and you keep eating, and that's kind of how like the college football playoff was going to be for Eli Drinkwitz. Well, Tony Petitti also went on to say that either we go to 24 or we stay at 12. Like, we are not going to expand to 16. So he is digging his heels in, and he will not talk about a 16-team playoff that the SEC is endorsing. So if you want to stay at 12, okay, we'll stay at 12. But we're going to go. We want to go to 24, but we're not going in the middle here. We're not going 16. So he is definitely sending all the signals that it's now on the SEC clock next week in Destin to try to figure this out. Petitti also went on to say that, hey, if you do agree to 24, we can. I mean, everybody except the SEC, everybody's on board. So he says that they can get this thing turned around pretty quick in 2027. Will be a very easy thing for them to do.
Well, it feels like though if you went to the 16, however you get that, if you got everybody else to go on board and you were actually able to sell the 16 plan, if you're Greg Sankey in the SEC, then it's just got to work out right monetarily. I don't know how that happens where everybody gets their way. Right now, just looking at it, I don't see how it happens.
Big Ten also pointed out that if they had gone to 24 teams back in 2014, as opposed to going to the 14 playoff, 80 different teams would have made the playoffs dating back to 2014. Alabama and Ohio State would have made the most. They would have made it every single year. 12 years in a row. Alabama and Ohio State would have made it. Clemson would have made it 11 times. Georgia and Notre Dame 10 times apiece. Those are your top teams that would have made it based on that. Let's get to your text messages, 205-834-9450. Many of you are chiming in on the potential college football playoff expansion. Also, some interesting things going on in Washington, D.C., including the SCORE Act has been taken off the legislative agenda in Washington, D.C., so they will not be voting on that anytime soon, as Senator Cruz and his counterpart on the Democratic side, they continue to negotiate a potential bill that they can bring to the floor of the Senate. So it keeps on keeping on when it comes to all the politics involved with college sports.
Text line is open, 205-834-9450. Going back to Iowa State Athletic Director Jamie Pollard, his comments about the SEC and the Big Ten. Michael says, has Iowa State won anything in anything ever? Well, basketball, they've had some good teams. Football, they've been relevant a few years.
Wrestling is that's their thing.
Okay.
So as I was watching,
They've won 8 of those, by the way.
this Chris Williams, who was doing the interview with 365 Sports, he was talking about the fact that, you know what, if the Big Ten and the SEC went off and did their own thing, most of America wouldn't watch. Because America, they are absolutely the appetizing of watching Iowa State play TCU each and every week. That's going to draw a lot of eyeballs.
Wait, like Americans wouldn't watch the Big Ten and the SEC?
Well, no, he believes that it obviously, because everyone is one big happy family in the 138 schools that play Division I football, like every week it matters somehow.
Jamie, you don't get to play in Ireland every year with a standalone game. It's not going to work the same.
But he was pointing out, not Jamie, but this Chris Williams from the podcast, he was just pointing out that, you know, you would have the Big 12 folks, just like the ACC folks and everyone else, they would become more consumed with their own league and their own situation, that they would not be paying attention to Ohio State, Michigan, or Alabama, Auburn, or Ole Miss, LSU. I mean, he used that as an example. And he also pointed out that, yeah, there would still be 50 to 55,000 people showing up in Ames to watch a football game. And I'm like going, wow, your stadium only holds 55,000? Is that wow? Okay. Good
By
for
the
y'all.
way,
They have lights?
I don't know.
if my really quick research is correct, their last conference championship in anything came back in 2017 in men's and women's cross country for Iowa State.
Hey, men's and women's in the same year. That's good. That's something. They're fast.
Okay. Someone saying, I miss when Sport Talk was about sports and not money. Yeah, we do too. Somebody weighing in, don't sleep on Iowa State. We owe that 2011 Natty to the work of Iowa State against the Cowboys.
That is true.
AJ in Florida.
I will
Beat
give them
Oklahoma
credit
State.
for that. We should give them a trophy for that.
That was one of the games that made Joe Tess a household name.
They make fun of Brett Bielema all you want, but he totally outkicked his coverage.
He did do that without
Yeah.
question.
Mhm.
If the Little Ten and the SEC split from the rest, there would be a clamoring of schools begging to join the two conferences.
There
That's
is no
what we're
doubt.
laying out.
No doubt.
Everybody's a big dog, and they got a big bark inside the house. Turn them loose with the other dogs in the yard. See how long that lasts.
Yeah. They would be lining up. Like, if the SEC, if it leaked out, the number of phone calls that the downtown office in Birmingham would take would absolutely make your head spin.
Oh, Cody Campbell, blank check. How much do I need to pay to get in there?
You better believe it.
Give me a number.
Jimmy asking, well, he first says, never thought we would be talking about college basketball in Alabama in the month of May. He said, did y'all see the NAACP is asking football players to boycott Southern schools due to the issue with voting rights and the redrawing of representative maps? Yes, we've seen that. To me, it seems like maybe a last grasp at trying to put pressure on the things that they view that these Southern schools value the most, and that would be our college football.
Yeah, so if I understand this correct, there was a graphic that was on Fox News this morning that said that schools targeted by the NAACP campaign, Georgia, Florida, FSU, LSU, Ole Miss, Mississippi State, South Carolina, Clemson, Tennessee, Texas, and Texas A&M. Those are the schools that are being targeted by NAACP campaign. And I think this all has to do with redistricting, correct?
Yes, it does. Collins, hold the line, Greg Sankey. Making the playoffs is slowly becoming the new making a bowl game. It means less the more spots there are.
Well, I go back to something we talked to with Wimp. This was a few weeks ago. It was with the NCAA tournament, and it was, well, do you think that coaches want this because, oh, well, it's easier to say you made an NCAA tournament, you can keep your job. And he actually brought up the opposite side of that now, is it's going to put even more of a spotlight on the coaches that don't make it, or maybe you make it one out of every 4 or 5 years, and it's going to have people maybe thinking they need to make changes more quickly to get back because it should be easier to get access to a college.
And with that train of thought from most of these now in this state, Sweet 16 or bust, right? For college basketball. It doesn't diminish the Sweet 16 when you get a team that makes it to that third game in the tournament because there were 68 other teams to start the tournament, right? It doesn't for me. But Collins, we appreciate it. Good thought. Robert says, let me make it clear. I don't like the idea of a college football playoff expanding from 12 teams to 24. It will ruin the integrity of the regular season. We don't have integrity in the regular season. We got guys holding coaches over a barrel because they want the endorsement deal that their guy that lockers 3 freaking lockers down is now getting, and he got wind of it. And now he's going to try to extort you to go play in this conference championship game or whatever. Sorry. That was not all directed at you, Robert. That's just stuff that's really happening. Has been happening. This is Ken of Minnesota. Hey, guys, do you remember the comment Brett Bielema made about his smoking hot wife when he thought the mic was off? LOL. I do not. Was he was on his hog cruise? When he's holding the daiquiri?
I can't remember.
No, Ken. What did he say? Text it back in. 205-834-9450. Mississippi State, by the way, SEC baseball tournament going on in Hoover right now. Mississippi State, they've added to their lead. They now lead 4-2 over Missouri as they play in the bottom of the 5th inning. Bases loaded, 2 outs. State at the plate.
Well, we have a long summer of heat and humidity ahead, so keep your home and your family comfortable with America's most reliable HVAC brand, Train. And to help, Train is offering up to $1,350 rebate on select home comfort systems. So learn more and find a specialist near you at Train.com.
We got a good one to talk to about it. Brett Norsworthy, WHBQ in Memphis, a part of the Ole Miss radio crew. He's going to join us coming up at the top or the bottom of the hour, 11:30. You don't want to miss that as Brett's going to join us. We'll talk college football and plenty of things to discuss. 3-man front on this Wednesday. We continue on Jocks.
It is 11:16, bottom of the hour. We'll go to Memphis, Tennessee, talk to our good friend Brett Norsworthy, get his feelings on Jamie Pollard and the potential split of the SEC and the Big Ten with the rest of college football. Just an idea. It's a fun thing, right?
Yeah.
Are
Changing.
you familiar, Conrad? I know you were at the beach all weekend long. Did you read up on Jamarly Riddle from the University of Georgia? Did you read up on him?
I did not. I missed that one.
You missed that?
Yeah,
Okay.
I did.
Well, he is a Georgia safety. He used to play at East Carolina for 2 years, and he got in the transfer portal, and he came to the University of Georgia. He was arrested in Glenn County, Georgia, on May the 8th. Per the incident report, the reporting officer received word of a traffic offense observed by an undercover officer. The undercover officer observed a red Dodge Durango traveling at a high rate of speed south of Interstate 95. The undercover officer stated the Durango was weaving in and out of traffic at a high rate of speed around 95 miles per hour, causing a hazard to pedestrians on the roadway, per the report. The undercover officer explained in the reporting officer that the vehicle was traveling at 95 miles per hour, but that the Durango was still gaining distance on him. The reporting officer and another officer
Thing's got a Hemi, right?
staged, yes, while the undercover officer gave updates on the vehicle's speed and direction of travel. So it goes on, and obviously they pull him over. He was extremely nervous. He was shaking as he spoke to the officer. The officer said he provided me with the license and current registration, but I could still smell the overwhelming odor of marijuana coming from inside the vehicle. Because of his nervous behavior, I asked him to step out of the vehicle while he continued the traffic stop. And as I mentioned, he's a Georgia football player in a car going 95 miles an hour. And getting pulled over.
I'm going to add one more question to their questionnaire when they're going through transfer portal. Do you have a propensity to travel at a high rate of speed on public roads? We just need to know.
Well, Coach,
'Cause
to be
this has
honest
kind
with
of been
you,
an
I've
issue
got a little
here.
bit of a lead foot, and you know.
It's always a good idea to speed excessively when you're riding dirty.
So per the police report, Riddle was charged with 2 felony counts of possession of a controlled substance and a misdemeanor of speeding.
When you show up to the Georgia football building, is this like a rite of passage? Do they?
I mean, they're remarkably consistent in a horrible way.
In a horrible
In a
way, they
horrible
are
way, but
really
they are-
consistent.
Yeah,
The most consistent I can remember as far as these type of.
no doubt.
The University of Georgia offered the following statement about Riddle's arrest. I got a feeling this was kind of like, let's just insert a new name. You know what I'm saying? This is just a general
They just
statement.
have the statement written out with the blanks. For
And,
the
and- yeah, and then we just insert the name of the individual.
Or they go anonymous coach. We had another blank hole
Yeah.
That's,
that can't follow posted.
This was the University of Georgia's response. We are aware of the charges and are actively gathering additional information. As this is an ongoing legal matter, we will not be providing further comment at this time.
No, get all the facts.
He is 6 foot tall, 182 pounds. He joined the Bulldogs this offseason after spending his first 2 years at East Carolina. He's a native of Kingsland, Georgia. Riddle had a strong 2-year run with the Pirates. He earned first team All AAC honors in 2025 after recording 70 tackles, 4 tackles for loss, 3 interceptions, 6 pass breakups, 1 fumble recovery in 2 seasons in Greenville. Riddle recorded 134 tackles, 7.5 tackles for loss, 6 interceptions, 10 pass breakups, and 1 fumble recovery. Riddle was part of a significant reload of the secondary for the Dogs. He was one of 4 defensive backs that the Bulldogs have added from their portal, joining Clemson safety Khalil Barnes, USC cornerback Braylon Conley, and Oklahoma cornerback Gentry Williams. Riddle was limited in the spring due to a leg injury, though head coach Kirby Smart said that he had stayed engaged during that time.
I know they tried to address it, and this is a new guy coming in. At some point, Kirby Smart, what do you do?
I really don't know what you do. I mean, it's I mean, he's got to be over 30 now.
Oh, we're over 30. I thought we were.
We might be 40.
Yeah.
An individual driving 95 miles an hour, weaving in and out of traffic.
And maybe that's because he knew that he was what he had in the car. I don't know the circumstance. It's not good, and it continues. Just continues.
No, I've just never understood
the
that.
rap
If
sheet
you're going to do that, drive the speed limit.
of
Like,
Georgia football players under Kirby Smart. And I know he's the head of the program, and the buck's got to stop with him. But I find it hard to believe that Kirby Smart has not tried to address this with current teams, past teams. Like, okay, maybe not.
It's just funny because when Philip Fulmer had all the problems he had in Knoxville, and he had a lot. A matter of fact, we nicknamed something called the Fulmer Cup.
Right.
It was like whoever got arrested the most in the offseason that you would be awarded what was called in sports talk radio the Fulmer Cup.
Florida took that mantle a little bit later on with Urban Meyer.
Urban Meyer. But it's just amazing how Kirby Smart gets a complete pass for everything that has happened off the field and all these arrests. Where if it was any other coach in the SEC, people would be screaming for their jobs. That's what's so amazing.
Yeah. There would be some schools that would be trying to fire for cause.
No doubt. This has nothing to do with Kirby's an incredible football coach, but he is the CEO of that football program.
Yeah.
And I don't know how many other coaches in America would be given that kind of grace if you've had between, what is the number? Do we know the number? Is it 30, 40?
It would take me the rest of the day to compile that, probably.
Not to mention the fact that we've had young people lose their lives.
Yes.
Well, and that's the sad part. It's all sad. But if you were to have an example of the worst case scenario of what could happen, you've had that happen, and it still didn't send a message of, maybe I shouldn't do that. Maybe I should think twice before getting behind the wheel.
Okay. I don't know how long ago this was, but since January 2023, it says that the Georgia football program has faced at least 25 driving-related arrests and citations for offenses, including reckless driving, speeding, and DUI. Total is primarily comprised over 20 distinct arrests for traffic violations during this time frame.
Okay, so in the last 3 years, so you're averaging 8 a year
Wow.
in that time period?
Of course, they list out the fatal crash here, but high speed, several players have been apprehended by police for driving at extreme speeds, including incidents clocked over 105 miles per hour. And team actions in response, Georgia coach Kirby Smart has implemented disciplinary measures such as suspensions, internal fines, and occasionally player dismissals. For example, dismissing a player after a 150 mile per hour police chase. Yeah, probably a good idea.
Let's just use Mike Norvell as an example. Based on his record at Florida State, if he had, what's the number you just said?
25 since 2023.
If he had 25 guys.
Yeah, they would be getting with their legal team and saying, can we get him for
Is there another coach across college football that would still have their job after this? Any of them? Because Ohio State was ready to get rid of Ryan Day a couple years ago, so this probably would have been an easy out for them before they won a national championship. Maybe now you'd say, oh, well, they'd give Cignetti a pass or something. I don't know if there's another coach that it would just kind of get swept under the rug. Like,
it wouldn't happen with him, but it'd be our boy at Notre Dame, Marcus Freeman.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Is this just a situation where everyone has just become so callous to this situation?
I think so.
That it's just background noise, that it's just pretty much people just don't pay attention to it. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it's awful, but you almost just have to laugh at it because it's like, oh, here we go again.
Well, it goes back to when everybody had a car alarm. And then it just all of a sudden, you remember that day where you just stopped hearing the car alarms? They were still going off, but it was white noise because you heard it all the time.
That's a good point.
That's where we are with this Georgia stuff.
But yeah, I mean, to your original point, I don't know where you're
not going to take their keys away.
I was about
it's
to
not
say,
fair to the other guys that are doing it right,
Yep.
or and you talk about a recruiting disadvantage. Hey, we want you to come to Georgia. By the way, we're going to have to take your keys the entire time you're here. I would love it personally.
I
A
mean,
lot of these guys probably want to drive their own rides.
yeah, I was about to say you couldn't do it because it's such a massive deal, but it's almost like doesn't make you just want to go get an NIL deal with like Smart Car. Every player that's on the roster, here you go. You have a car that you can get around on. It's not going to go over 50 miles an hour. Here you go. That's your transportation. If you are on this football team, that's what you're going to drive. It'll get you around town.
Or just put governors.
I-
Just put governors on all their cars. Get a local dealer to put governors. You can't go over 45.
And here's a kid that it's a situation where he was a 3-star coming out of high school. Obviously, that's why he's at East Carolina for 2 years. But then he succeeded on the playing field at East Carolina. Probably got a nice little NIL check from the University of Georgia.
It's the American college football dream.
Yeah, playing for one of the blue bloods in college football, the University of Georgia in the Southeastern Conference, and you go in your bonehead and you do what you just did in a car, and potentially, according to the police report, that they obviously believe that there was some type of drug involved.
I just wonder, is there a perception for players in college right now or over the last couple of years where it's almost like, well, I can go to Georgia and get away with stuff?
So this comes back, and this is not apples to apples. Hear me out, guys. I'm not defending it, but Brendan Sorsby, we're talking about his future and what the NCAA, and yes, he broke a rule, and a very serious rule, but we might not ever see him play college football again. Okay. But for some of these guys, and I'm not taking this guy in particular, but he's going to play again. He made a mistake. Hopefully he realizes his mistake and he learns from it. But you see what I'm saying, right? We're going to throw Brendan Sorsby out of college football, but stuff like this, not just at Georgia, happens where we're actually
Putting endangering people's lives.
We're
yes.
putting other lives in danger. We're breaking the law. But by golly, after that internal discipline, he's going to be ready to go for that opening kickoff. Meanwhile, Brendan Sorsby, again, I know it's not apples to apples, just something to think about.
Something to think about is when Brett Norsworthy is on, he makes us smarter. We will talk to Brett next from WHBQ Radio.
11:31 here on this Wednesday, day 2 of Hoover SEC baseball tournament. Mississippi State leading Missouri 5-2 as they play in the bottom of the 6th inning. State has the bases loaded. Missouri's going to make a pitching change. We'll keep you up to date on all of the action out there in Hoover, Alabama. How about Crafts on 280? If you're looking for a great new breakfast option, lunch or dinner, but breakfast in this case in particular, Crafts new 280 store right there in Mountain Brook. They got just what you need. You want to change it up. It's not just the same old, same old. Everything is made from scratch there at Crafts, made by hardworking Alabamians. Crafts originated right here in Alabama, and they got great folks working hard for you. Check out one of those breakfast combos, whether it's the chicken, egg, and cheese biscuit, the sausage, egg, and cheese. You want to go with the breakfast plate, the breakfast sandwich, or how about the biscuits and sausage gravy? They're making those biscuits homemade each and every morning along with that gravy. Check it out. It's Crafts. It's not just for breakfast, but check them out in Mountain Brook right there on Highway 280. We welcome all the SEC baseball fans. Check them out for lunch and dinner as well. CraftsBHM.com.
Joining us from WHBQ Radio, you can also hear him during the football season on the Ole Miss Radio Network for football. Brett Norsworthy joins us here on Three Man Front. Go Cards. How are you?
Go Cards. Great win of the year last night, 9-6 in extra innings, and it was a lot of fun. It's been a fun start to the baseball year. You got a lot of people's team in your area. The Braves doing real well, and got the National League Central all over 500. It all won't last, but it's fun heading into Memorial Day. The first time I really look at the standings is the Monday of Memorial Day. Then I look on the 4th of July. Then I look on Labor Day. And then the one that really matters, the Monday morning after the season ends.
There's no doubt about that. We want to talk to you about an interesting comment from the Iowa State Athletics Director, Jamie Pollard. He was asked a question on Monday about some frustrations about the college football playoff expansion and the CSC, which is supposed to replace the NCAA. And he just threw it out there. He said, you know what? I just wish the SEC and the Big Ten, I just wish they would go off and do their own thing. So that got me thinking, and you and I kind of exchanged some text messages. I mean, is this something that could legitimately happen down the road? And what was Jamie Pollard actually thinking? Because I think that would put the Big 12 in a really tough spot.
Yeah, I know what he would do if an AD slot came open in the SEC. He would tell his wife and the rest of his family, don't even pack. We're heading out of Ames. So he would leave immediately if Hunter Yurachek, the imbecile that he is, left Arkansas. So Jamie Pollard was voicing frustration. I'm sure a lot of them really feel you're playing in a second division of college football, but you always have. It's always been about Big Ten and SEC and Big Ten. And now you hear Jim Phillips, PhD, he's aggravated about things. Brett Yormark's always aggravated. They all are, and they all should be. And I think we can go into a next level of college football with them. But if the SEC and the Big Ten had to do it without them, I think they could. And I think naturally the TV dollars and the interest and the popularity would follow those two big leagues, and the rest of those would be left behind forever. I'm sorry that they're not as popular as the SEC and the Big Ten. You know, for years I heard a lot of that ilk talk about, well, it just means so much to them. Well, yeah, it does. And look what it's gotten us. And look what it's gotten you thinking it's just a 3-month sport.
Very true. Brett Norsworthy joining us here on Three Man Front. All of our guests join us on the Higginbotham Hotline. So we get to Destin for SEC meetings. How tough is it going to be for Greg Sankey to convince, whether it's athletic directors, chancellors, and to some degree coaches, that either staying at 12 or going to 16 is a good idea and 24 is not?
Well, it's going to be very difficult because he's already got some very influential people, notably Greg Byrne at Alabama. And Alabama was probably Alabama and Georgia were probably the ones that were in the best shape in the old way of college football, and now they're talking about very much the new way, 24 teams, the elimination of the SEC championship game. All those things, all these changes have hurt Alabama and Georgia, and probably LSU. I think it's probably hurt Ohio State as well. But you see them all going for it. And Greg Sankey's going to have to really have a tough moment for himself of, do I represent my member institution, 16 teams, or do I do what I think is best as commissioner of the SEC and maybe go it alone? It's a little bit like the politician. They head to Washington. Do I vote the strict will of the people that elected me, therefore my bosses, or do I go to Washington and if I think giving away the Panama Canal is good, whether my state or district doesn't like it, I still do it? Well, you better make sure you're in real good shape when you do that. When you want to go it alone, it's always better to do it with a consensus. And Greg Sankey's always worked from a consensus, being able to come to an agreement on things, and he's one of the very best at it. But I think the will of his bosses, chancellors, coaches, whatever it is, member institutions, they want to go to 24, and I want to go to 24. Yes, a lot. Yes, the bracket looks like a Sudoku puzzle, especially on that first weekend when you have the zany 16 versus 17 game and the 15 versus 18 game. But we all know now, sadly, I love bowls. I love going to bowls. I've been to so many. I've had some of the times of my life, and some of them, it not your maybe most glamorous side. I don't want to denigrate anybody by naming names, but I've been to bowls where I've had great times that hadn't always been the premier prestige bowls, but I sure have had fun there as well. But we've moved away from that. I felt terrible 2 years ago when Ole Miss was 9-3, and I felt like should have been in that playoff bracket, didn't get there. They fell in love with SMU's win total, and there was no talking our way into it. We were going to be out. We're going to be out of the playoff, and we were. We went to the Gator Bowl, and the Gator Bowl people were great to us. They treated us like kings and queens, put on a great show, and I probably wasn't the best guest. My mother would have been very disappointed in me. You get invited somewhere, you go and you put on your good manners, and you act like you're glad to be there. And I don't know that I did, because the whole time I was there, I knew I was playing in the JV bracket.
Good point. Brett Norsworthy, WHBQ Radio, joining us here on the program. But it was interesting reading some of the comments from Tony Petitti last night, saying that their conference has had no conversations whatsoever about 16. They're not even considering 16. Matter of fact, he gave another quote that said, it's either 24 or we stay at 12. So if it's you, Brett, 24 or 12, which do you prefer? Do you prefer the expansion to 24 or keep it at 12?
Put 24 in a second, and you bring in a lot more teams. And Tony Petitti makes a great case about people talking about it will render the regular season unimportant. No, it won't. It will make those teams lobbying for that zany 16 versus 17 game that would be on campus of the better seed. You're playing like you've never played before, and I will name names now. You're playing a lot harder for that than you are trying to get into the Poulan Bowl.
Great point. Brett Norsworthy, WHBQ there in Memphis, also a part of the Ole Miss radio broadcast, and he joins us, as all of our guests do, on the Higginbotham hotline. So how do we make all the financials work? Because this is what it's all about, Brett. I'm like you, 24 teams. I could see how they could work. How do they monetize it if we have the absence of championship games?
I don't know exactly how they'll do it, Landrum, but they'll make it work, and we know it will. And I love now, and I understand contract law, but also kind of I just chuckled at the idea of contract law in college football. You mean like all those coaches' contracts that we never follow, and now we're going to be so tethered to our contract with Atlanta for the championship game? Okay, here's an idea maybe we do. We get an SEC team in one of those wild first-round games. Maybe go to them until we fill the contract and ask the nice people in Atlanta, would this suffice as the championship game? Could we put 14 seed SEC against 19 seed somebody else? But for sure, if it would match up SEC versus SEC, and ask those places, look, I know you want to have it on campus, but in these first few years, we got to work with these people. We still have a contract. They're holding us to it. Let's see if they'll let that suffice as the championship weekend game. And then if it doesn't, let the lawyers fight it out. It's not like we don't have a lot of lawyers involved in college sports.
There's no question about that. I want to ask you about September 19th because that game was already going to be a monumental affair between these two teams. I'm talking about LSU and Ole Miss. All of a sudden, the Vanity Fair article comes out. That obviously has kind of ramped things up a little bit. Just when you thought it was going to be a tough ticket, it seems like that each and every day that goes by, it seems like it's getting even more of a difficult task. How crazy, Brett, and you have covered a lot of big-time events in the Southeastern Conference. How nuts will that be with that game that week between the Grove there, between LSU and Ole Miss?
It's going to be. It's going to be as wild as you can imagine. I think it's going to be mostly on the fun side, but it's going to be Ole Miss and LSU. And there's just nothing new about it being wild around that game. A rare back-to-back in Oxford year for that game. You know, it was fun last year. It's always fun. The game in 2023 may have been the best regular season game I've ever been to. Ole Miss down 9 with 5 minutes to go, pulled it out at the end, and Lane Kiffin just pure out-coached Brian Kelly down the stretch of that game and won that game. It was a fun night, but it's going to be fun. It's going to be wild, but it's going to be safe. The idea of, you know, it was from a couple of fruitcakes of the game maybe needed to go to a neutral for safety's sake. Lane Kiffin's going to be fine in Oxford, and he will be. He should be. There's nothing going to happen to him. I'm not promising that in unison there might not be a loud chant behind the game day set that might be a little impolite directed toward Lane Kiffin. But look, you know, when you ask for it and you lead with your chin, guess what happens? People get aggravated. He is a great coach. He did Ole Miss such an excellent job, but I think it was just preposterous what he was saying. And I had one host ask me, well, could it be possible that a grandparent voiced those concerns? Well, yeah, anything's possible. Somebody could have said, I don't like Oxford because of the traffic on West Jackson Avenue on Friday afternoon. Anything's possible.
Good point. Brett Norsworthy joining us here on Three Man Front. If there's that one team, and if you've already drawn it out, what you unveil for us at SEC Media Days every year, and for our listeners who don't know, Brett goes very into detail. He's not just telling you who's going to be in the championship game. He plays it out through the playoffs. If you have that set to go, feel free. But I was going to ask you about one team in particular right now as it stands, Brett, in the SEC, where you're right there on the fence. Either it could be a really solid year and a good year, or golly, things could go south in a hurry. Who is that team as it stands right now on May the 20th?
I think it's Alabama, and right now I would have them in the playoffs at 10-2. But on my lightly shaded pencil helmet schedule that we all have in front of us, I've already had a lot of markouts. I'm not as scared of September as I once was for Alabama, but it is competitive, and if there's a slip, we know what that would do to the fan base. And I think mostly the fan base has been pretty patient with Kalen DeBoer. It should have been. You know, look, he's only replacing the greatest coach in the history of the sport, and he's had 2 pretty good years, much better than the 2 years that Ray Perkins had succeeding Coach Bryant. But I think right now it would be Alabama, but I think they will get to the other side. And at the end of the year, I think the story of Alabama is what they have at quarterback. And I really thought he should have played a little more last year. I know where Ty Simpson went in the NFL draft, and I know they were scared of that offensive line, heck, with anybody. You could have had Joe Namath or Bryce Young or Tua Tagovailoa. You could have had any Bama quarterback in history behind that offensive line last year, and it would have looked rather grim a lot of Saturdays.
All right, before we let you go, I did want to ask you this because you are a college football historian. You're like me. You love uniforms. You love helmets. And there was this ongoing viral clip down here, and it shows someone holding a white Alabama helmet in the Alabama equipment room, and it appears to give a lot of people maybe a little bit of ammunition thinking that Kalen DeBoer might be thinking about a white helmet. You've covered this league long enough. You know that Alabama used to wear white helmets back in the mid-'80s. Do you think this would be a good look for the Tide to maybe go with the white helmet on road games?
White helmet, white tops, white bottoms like they did in the day?
Yep.
Is that what is being proposed?
Not being proposed, but that is just obviously
We're proposing it.
a lot of people on social media are
For Conrad.
taking this picture that was supposedly taken, I guess, a mock-up or something of a white Alabama helmet.
Yeah, I don't mind it. I would not be averse at all to it, but I sure would yield to people a lot closer to the situation than me. But it would not bother me because I love that look in the day. I'm looking in my house right now at a Sports Illustrated cover of Terry Davis, one of the great wishbone quarterbacks of all time. Now that's red helmet, red top, but he wore all white that day, opening night at USC when they broke out the wishbone. I love Johnny Musso. My brother wore 22 in 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th grade because how much we love Johnny Musso at our house. So I would not mind it. I would not want to overdo it. Pat, I'll give you a baseball comparison.
Okay.
You know how much we as Cardinal fans loved in the late 90s when they broke out on the road back to the kind of the bluish hat.
Navy
and
caps.
I really liked it then. And I really liked it then. But then as we've gone on, and now we're mostly back to red lids on the road, especially if the other team, unless the other team has kind of some red in the color. I like to keep it simple with the uniforms. I know we've gotten wild with a lot of uniforms, and I'm not being patronizing here, Landon. I promise you, I'm not. I do love the mix and match that the Braves have. The Braves and the Orioles can run a lot of different looks at you, and all of them look pretty good. I like that, but I also like when the Dodgers and Yankees used to just go with two looks.
Yeah.
Some of these wild city editions, my goodness. But for Alabama, that would be okay. I wouldn't be that averse to it, but I wouldn't want to get too cute with it. Now, sometimes in the equipment room, those guys, there are a lot of mock-ups that Nike and the manufacturers send to people. There's even one in the Ole Miss equipment room of a red helmet that Ole Miss has never worn, a red helmet on game day. And I wouldn't mind that much. Arkansas's had the different looks through the years, and some of them I've liked, and some of them I haven't liked. And Vandy changes the helmet in the uniform scheme. They change it every week. It seems like
They do.
No, you're right. Well, I was just curious what you thought about that. You're a great historian of the SEC.
I kind of like.
Well, and I was thinking about, they used to do it for recruiting visits, right? They would get the mock-ups, the different things. They, kind of dazzled the kids. But now I think anything short of a football filled with cash.
Well, don't you remember Kirby Smart, Arch Manning, when he went on his visit? This was the first time I ever saw it. When he went on his visit to the University of Georgia, he wore a white Georgia helmet. And he took pictures, and it was all over social media. And you heard Kirby's always said, if you raise X number of dollars for my NIL, we'll wear white helmet. It's all about trying to raise as much money as possible. So, well, Brett, listen, we thought we'd get you on and chit-chat about these current issues with college football. Hope you have a great Memorial Day weekend, and we'll catch up with you again very soon.
Thanks, Brett.
Y'all as well. And on Friday, 99 days to the start of college football week.
Yeah. Love it. Thank you, Brett.
Thanks, Brett.
Appreciate it very much.
Y'all.
Brett Norsworthy joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline. You deserve solutions that are built for you. Higginbotham is your one-source solution for insurance, financial, and HR services.
That Ole Miss red helmet looked good. It looked a lot better than that Arizona, but I got some ideas on the mock-up. We need to get you a mock-up. You've already got a mock-up of another color.
I do.
That's a good-looking helmet. 3-man front, we continue.
Always a great conversation talking college football with Brett Norsworthy, WHBQ Radio. Golston Tree Service, you hear me talk about Golston for many, many years here on this program. 205-337-4443. Golston's licensed pros, they're going to handle everything for you around your property, from trimming and pruning to full tree removals. That's fast, it's safe, it's affordable. Don't wait until that next storm causes damage. You need to take advantage of Golston Tree Service. They'll come onto your property. They'll take a look at your situation. They'll assess it, decide whether something needs to be cut down. They're going to give you an honest view of what needs to happen. So when it comes to your trees, you don't need to risk it. You need to call Golston Tree Service at 205-337-4443. They can handle it all for you there at Golston Tree Service.
Well, it's been a fun first half of the show. We do have a final there from Hoover, Mississippi State. They have run-ruled Missouri after falling behind early. Then it was an onslaught of Mississippi State's bats. Mississippi State moves on, Pat. That is good news for the folks in Hoover and the Bulldog faithful. That'll be staying an extra day here in the Birmingham Metro.
They certainly will, as now Mississippi State will get to take on the number 1 seed, the Georgia Bulldogs, tomorrow at 3 o'clock.
Get your work cut out for you.
Yep.
But they can do it.
A little bit tougher than the Mizzou Tigers.
Yeah, I would say so. Speaking of baseball, Braves win yesterday. They double up the Marlins 8-4. Ronald Acuna comes back, scores 3 runs. But great news on Drake Baldwin. A grade 1 sprain or strain of the oblique. So that's the best possible news, but they can be funny. So Drake Baldwin out for the time being, but the Braves continuing to win and continuing to lead all of baseball in wins. So they take on the Marlins tonight there at Lone Depot Park. Second half of the show, we'll have Pete Mundo in the next hour. More of your phone calls, more of your texts. We'll keep you updated on what's going on in Hoover. 3-man front, the Wednesday edition right here on your home for college football